Hey folks, we are back at Nikki T Live. I'm your host Nick Taylor, and today I am hanging out with Dev Two Peace Signs Agrawal. Dev, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Just a little sick in the throat, but everything else is going great. How about you?
Okay, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I started a new job on Monday, so I'm like pretty pumped about that, and been already putting up some PRs, got those merged, and just meeting people in the org, and just pretty excited about it. And for folks that don't know, I joined Open Sauce, which is
I heard. Yeah,
yeah,
congrats.
yeah, thanks, man. And but I don't want to talk too much about myself, at least not right now. So like, I do want to talk to you, and um, so. Uh, I guess for folks that might not know who you are, you mind just kind
hmm
of giving the TLDR of who Dev, the man, the myth, the legend is?
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Dev, and I am a dev. I'm also a dev rel. So there's a bunch of things that I am and I do. Basically, I've been writing like full stack JavaScript applications, both professionally and non-professionally as a hobby for like 6 to 7 years. I kind of started out with PHP, but quickly moved into JavaScript because I wanted to do more front end work. What a
Okay.
mistake that was. Um, and
It's getting spicy already.
recently, yeah, and about this time last year, I started getting into content creation, into social media, and I realized that that was a great way to like take whatever skills I had and like put them out there, try to help out some other people trying to get into the industry, and also use it as a way to like like develop my own career, my own like placement in the industry. So I decided to like pursue content creation, and then like earlier this year, I decided to pursue DevRel because that was
hmm
basically like, hey, if I'm doing content creation, let's just do it as a job, because why not? And
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
yeah, so in this May, I was hired as a DevRel at Clerk, and I couldn't be more excited because I started using Clerk about a year ago, as well. Not a year ago, but like around November or December last year, and I absolutely loved the product. I love the like the power, the DX, and the freedom that it brings. So I was very happy to uh, work as a developer advocate at this company. So that's kind of what I do, and I still do. I still sometimes try to make YouTube videos for my YouTube channel. So at
Yeah,
debagr09, I'm sure there'll be links somewhere around here. And
yeah,
I
yeah. No, I
sometimes
dropped some for the folks
post.
to catch if they want.
Nice, thanks. And I sometimes tweet here, mostly shit posts.
Yeah, yeah, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, no, I think we connected on socials last year at some point.
hmm
I forget how or when, but it's the usual. Oh, this person looks interesting. I
Mm.
guess I'll see what they're up to. And I actually got a chance to meet you at Render ATL this
hmm
past summer, which was super cool. For me,
Yeah.
that was supposed to be my first in-person conference, but Netlify actually sent me to RemixConf before that, so thank you for that. But yeah, my goal was like, if I'm gonna go to one conference this year, it's gonna be Render. So
For
I was
sure,
excited
yeah.
about it, and I met tons of people, including yourself and a bunch of the Clerk folk. And I actually didn't
hmm
realize. I probably maybe I was just tired, but I didn't realize you were already working for Clerk in May. So like when I saw you, you're already working there. So it also might have been the, what do you call those donuts that you were giving out? There, it's an American thing. It's
Cookies.
not a donut. Yeah, but there was
Oh,
cookies,
the
but
the
there was
funnel
this.
cakes.
Oh yeah, funnel cake. I never heard
Yeah,
of
there was a
that
funnel
before.
cake
So
truck. Me
yeah,
neither. That was
yeah.
Jeff's
So
idea.
yeah, no, they were super tasty, but it definitely was a sugar rush. I'm sure if there's any Americans catching the stream, they know what it is. But
Yeah,
basically, it
that was the
looked like
plan.
a steroid-sized donut. I had fruity pebbles on it, and it was like a major sugar sugar rush.
hmm
So, but anyways, so no, that's cool. So uh, we're definitely gonna take a peek at Clerk here in a bit. So you're doing the content creation, and then so how did it come about to join Clerk? Like, was there like a big interview, or was it more like, hey, Dev, we like what you're doing on socials and on YouTube. Why don't you just come do what you're doing there for us, or what was that kind of like?
Yeah, so it was mostly the second thing that you just mentioned, which was like I met Colin, the CEO, and James Perkins, who was Devrel, who was like basically the only Devrel at Clerk at that time. I
Okay,
met both of them at JamstackConf, November last year, which
okay.
unfortunately no longer exists. Um, so
It's
yeah, I met
getting
both of them
spicy again.
there. It's gonna get spicy too, way too many times. Uh, but yeah, I met both of them at JabstackCon, and that's also where I first came across Clerk. And like Colin gave a demo of Clerk at JamstackCon, and
Okay.
literally like as soon as the demo ended, I was immediately like impressed by the product. I tweeted about it, and then my tweet was noticed by Colin. I
Hmm.
chatted with them. I chatted with James. I think James had seen some of my content, or at least like was somewhat aware of me or my content at that time. I was
Okay.
also chatting with him and Ben Holmes and Demetrius and like some of that content Devrel crew at
Hmm.
JamstackConf. Um, but basically like I chatted with Colin quite a bit there, and after that I think they like James started to notice more of my content, and was kind of like just like on Twitter kind of just throwing it around that hey, we might be looking for more devrils, so if you ever want a new job, let me know. But
Cool.
at that time I already had a job that I wasn't quite planning on like resigning from anytime soon.
Okay.
uh, but then in December, resigned from my current job, and then again I posted on Twitter, and James was like, "Hey, we're still looking for DevRels if you're interested in it." Um,
Okay.
and then
Oh, that's
around
awesome.
January or February, yeah, around January February, I got serious about it. I reached out to them, and then they're like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Cool. 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 No, I like hearing stuff like that. Like,
Hmm.
just because, I mean, even like it's a tough job market right now, and like,
Hmm.
I mean, is somebody who's been in the industry for a long time. I think it's still difficult, but it's not as bad as for like somebody starting off or like early career dev. And I always, tell people like stuff like you're doing, like putting out content, being active on social media. I'm a big fan of open source, kind of same thing there. Like all those things, like
Hmm.
there's other people doing it obviously too, but not
Hmm.
everybody is. And so like I'm kind of a mindset like just try to always stand out. And so like clearly you stood out from them. So yeah, no, hat tip to you.
Thanks. That's great to
Yeah, yeah.
hear.
Yeah, so cool, cool. So you've been at Clerk since May, so it's like getting like just
Hmm.
over half a year, or is it half a year now?
Yeah, I guess it's been about 5 or 6 months. Yeah.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. So we'll dig into Clerk shortly, but I guess
Hmm.
for folks who are interested in DevRel, like DevRel can
Hmm.
mean so many things. Like I've listened to
Yeah.
lots of talks and panels and stuff, but I'm kind of curious, like for yourself at Clerk, like kind of what's the day to day of a DevRel at
Mhm.
Clerk right now?
Yeah, so for me, it's been primarily about content creation so far. Uh, Mostly like writing blog posts, and then also like thinking about what areas of our product, what areas of education need to be filled,
Okay.
and uh, how do we structure our content around it, blog posts, YouTube videos, and then there's some secondary parts have been like coming up with demos or templates, starter repositories, things like that. And obviously like things like going to conferences. Like if you go on Twitter, there's like even people making jokes about like Vercel and Clerk being at conferences and doing some random stuff. So yeah, so it's been like content creation, uh, demos and code examples, and then going to events and making sure that whatever conferences we are at, we have a good
Yeah.
strategy and we are talking to people there, we are showing demos, and we're overall making it a fun experience, like
Cool.
the
Cool.
funnel cake truck at Render ATL.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was good. That was like a fun little
Mhm.
thing, like obviously it
Mhm.
was a nice break in the day, and again, like I said, I had never had one before, so I was like, oh, I'm definitely checking this out. But I do have to
Mhm.
say, like for folks new to auth, you have session cookies, and they were giving out
Uh,
cookies, and that was pretty spot on. So that was some good marketing there, I gotta say.
yeah, our cookies are
But
pretty much our staple swag item for every conferences that we go to.
cool, cool, cool. Awesome. So let's talk about Clerk now, and we're gonna do a
Mhm.
bit of live coding.
Mhm.
I'll get you to kind of guide me along there, but uh, in your words, like what is Clerk? Like I know everybody needs auth for their sites and like user
Mhm.
management. So I guess
Mhm.
what is Clerk and what does it provide people if they decide to go with Clerk?
Sure, yeah. So Clerk is like, first of all, I would like, obviously Clerk is an authentication provider, but even if you like go on our website, you'll see that Clerk is more than just auth, as a complete user management solution. So like, first of all, if you have no idea what an auth provider or what Clerk is, you might have heard of something like auth0 or Okta, and these are like external services that manage a lot of the authentication related uh, functionalities, like login, sign up, password, uh, reset password, and they give you a like user dashboard for things like that. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly that. So Clerk is a version of that, but it's highly focused on React and Next.js, and that allows us to build and offer the best possible experience, and uh, like a lot of features packaged into a nice onboarding flow and a nice like pre-built components and all of that, that a lot of other providers may not be able to offer.
Okay. Gotcha.
So the
Gotcha.
idea is, yeah, the idea basically is that if you have a React or Next.js application, you can go through a quick start guide, and you can just like add in a few lines of code, add in a few environment variables, and you basically have fully functioning authentication, uh, whether that be email, password, or magic links, or OAuth. Like, we have a bunch of different OAuth providers completely set up, and
Okay.
even beyond that, we have multi-tenancy, so you can have users create organizations, invite people to organizations, and
Okay.
lots of little features on top of that.
Okay. Cool. 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 Awesome. All
Yeah.
right. Oh, I'm moving around here. Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and yeah, I remember because I I hung out with James on my stream about a
Mhm.
year and a half ago, I think. So like, um, and he did kind of give a run through of Clerk, and it was pretty quick to get set up. But I know like a
Mhm.
lot of stuff has changed since then, like in terms of like just there's more things added and stuff. So I thought it'd be cool to
Okay.
kind of see what's new too. And honestly, it's been more than a year since since I did that stream with him. So it's not
Mhm.
all fresh in my head. But you were talking about there's a focus on React right now, and you mentioned
Mhm.
Next.js, but I could have sworn I remember reading somewhere like I think you support Remix as well now and some other frameworks. Is that
Yeah.
right?
So it's a React and React-based frameworks. So that includes Next.js, Remix, Redwood, Gatsby, and Expo for React
Okay.
Native.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
And just
React
React,
Native.
as
That's
in
nice.
like you can. Yeah. So React Native is like one of the big uh, kind of selling points, because if you use something like Nextdot doesn't quite work with React Native, because React Native has some weird support for cookies. Uh,
Okay.
so our Expo adapter like properly works with React Native without having to do a lot of weird session setup, because it has to store the client secrets in a different kind of storage session. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Gotcha.
React Native support, it's there, and Remix, Gatsby, Redwood JS, all of those frameworks are there.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Uh,
Yeah.
I'll ask the question because I was recently on the frameworks team at Netlify, but
Mm-hmm.
and I know you're always keeping up to date with a lot of things. Something like Solid.js, which doesn't use the
Mm-hmm.
virtual DOM, but it has JSX. It's React-like, I would say. Is
Mm-hmm.
it possible to wire up Clerk to that right now? It is more just out of
Yeah.
curiosity.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
the way Clerk works is that the base JavaScript library, that's Clerk.js, uh, you can use that library in pretty much whatever framework you want. You can use that in a vanilla JS project. You can bring that into Svelte, into Solid, into Vue, into whatever you want. And
Okay.
that library actually comes with the pre-built components, which means you can, like in your Solid.js component, you can uh, bring out a ref and say that this div is where your sign-in component is supposed to be mounted, and then
Okay.
you can tell the Clerk.js library that here, take this div element, mount the sign-in component here, and it's
Okay.
going to be
Okay.
there. So the React integration is more like it provides a good DX on top of it,
Hmm.
but you can still use the underlying Clerk.js library, and you'll pretty much have access to all the Clerk functionality, including the pre-built components.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's easy to get up and running with React based frameworks, but it's still
Hmm.
possible like if for some reason I decided to create a website all in jQuery on the front end, as
Hmm.
long as I have access to a
Yep.
div and I'm using the main like SDK or client, I guess it's still possible.
Yeah.
So
Pretty
okay,
much.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
So
good to
yeah,
know. And that's nice.
so there are community adapters that are being built on top of it. Like there's a member of the Solid.js community that, like, literally when something new comes out, 2 days later he will have like a Solid.js port built for it, uh, and like he's working on a Solid.js port, a Solid.js adapter for Clerk, and I believe there's one for Vue, and there's a Nuxt module all as well from like their community members. So it's pretty awesome to see community members uh, who like Clerk so much that they're gonna take this and bring it to their own community, uh, whether that be Vue or Solid or whatever it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's nice. I like how I guess that's also like you were saying to your first point, kind of like you're focusing on the DX right now, and you're making it really good with
Mhm.
React. But I mean, theoretically, it's not to say like in the future you provide good DX for Vue if there's enough uh,
Mhm.
demand for it, and that might even just come from the community, like you were saying with these community adapters. So no, that's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So, since we're gonna kind of go through like showing off the DX, we kind of discussed this briefly before the stream, but we'll go ahead and create a new Next.js app and kind of wire it
Mhm.
up. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm
Let's
just
do it.
gonna head into VS Code here. So I'm just gonna npx create next app here,
Mhm.
and we'll get started. Yes, proceed. Call it stream with dev. Sure, we'll use TypeScript. Why not? I'll just go with all the defaults. Oh,
Mhm.
do you want it? Does it
App
work
router
with
is
App
fine.
Router? Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
We had app router support like pretty like within a few days of app router stable being released.
okay. Yeah, and I guess it brings up a good question. I haven't worked too much with App Router myself or like React
Mhm.
Server components, but Um, I'm assuming that is there like a React Server component story with Clerk, or is this strictly once you hit the front end, like in a use client component, or what's the deal there exactly?
No, yeah. So the app router support includes server components, right?
Oh, okay, cool,
Yeah.
nice. Okay,
So yeah, if
awesome.
on our quick start, we have a quick start on Next.js, which we'll be using for like this part, and
Okay,
yeah, we'll go through that, because
okay,
like
cool.
beyond just the front end support, we also want you to like be able to use the like once you are logged in, we also want you to be able to like see what user is logged in on the back end, so that you can use that for data fetching and stuff, right?
Okay, cool. I guess the first thing is I should probably create an account. I think I still
Hmm.
have an account from a while ago. So
Perfect.
let's just see here. I'll just go with GitHub.
Hmm.
Ba-da-ba.
There we
Okay,
go.
yeah. Yeah. Okay,
That's a
cool. So
stream
let's
with
create an,
James.
there we go. Let's do a new one.
Yeah.
Clerk stream with dev. Might as well keep it uniform. All right, cool. Okay, so let me zoom this in here so folks can see.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so the first thing is here, it says we're going to build in our sign-in component, which is, I'm assuming, one of the components you provide.
Hmm.
Um, what do you recommend? Just going
You
with the
can select
default?
whatever.
Whoops. Whoops.
You might
Except
have hit
I
refresh.
accidentally.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I did something weird with my mouse. Uh,
Okay.
sorry, you were saying just go with the defaults, or what do you suggest?
You can go with whatever here.
Okay.
I mean, passwordless is kind of the new trend, but we still like support passwords, email and password as much as possible. But yeah, you can select whatever.
Okay, there's
Really
a lot of
depends.
providers here. Oh, even Web3.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Oh, okay, cool.
yeah. We also have some dedicated docs on uh, like building Web3 support.
Yeah. And yeah, and this brings up a good question here. So like I know when I worked at Dev2, like we had social logins and stuff, but we built the social login, and so we had all
Hmm.
our own keys for like
Hmm.
Google, GitHub, and stuff.
Hmm.
With Clerk, I imagine I just get my Clerk key and you manage all those keys. Is that how it works? I can't remember.
For the development, yeah. So like I
Okay.
ideally like for like production applications, you definitely want your own keys because like the OAuth consent, it should be provided like directly to the party that owns the application and not to a third party. But
Okay.
like this is not something like when you're starting out, when you're like first creating your application, when you're iterating, this is not something that you want to be concerned with. Like uh, so Clerk allows you to like postpone this whole thing uh,
Okay.
as much as possible. Like you should like right now we are going to the stream, we are like building something new. We shouldn't have to spend 20 minutes going to each of these providers and obtaining OAuth keys,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
that's a nice experience already. Just for like, I just
for
want to
sure.
build
Yeah.
something, so that's cool. All
Hmm.
right, I'm gonna go ahead and create the application. Is this gonna expose my keys right
Hmm.
away? Should I move it off screen
No,
or?
there you can. No, you can go ahead.
Okay,
It's yeah, it's
okay, it's
start
here.
and yeah.
Okay, so we got the
But when you
public
paste
one,
it
which
into a
shall.
inbuilt, yep.
Okay, okay, so let's
But yeah,
copy
when you
it.
paste it into your env local, you do want to do that off stream.
Yeah, okay. I think I have my. Let me double check here. Toggle. Uh,
Ooh,
I have a. There we
yeah,
go. Okay, this
not
should
bad.
work. Okay, I think that did it. It doesn't look right, but yeah, I'll switch off for 1 sec here. Let's go
Yeah,
back to it's there's
better
a
be safe.
actually there's two cool VS Code extensions
Mhm.
for hiding keys. There's
Mhm.
there's this one which is called .env Vault, which is from like the people that created
Okay.
.env, and there's another one from John Papa called Cloak, which is pretty neat.
Cloak. Yeah, I've heard
So
about that one.
yeah, so like if you see here now, like I'm in my
There we
.env,
go.
but it's basically with the extension
Mhm.
they use CSS or something to hide it. So I'm gonna save that. Of course, it just flashed it, but whatever.
Nice.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
I've got those keys,
Mhm.
but I imagine I need to put one of those keys. I can't remember. Does Next pick
You
up the
don't need to.
.env? Okay, cool, cool.
Yeah. So any envs that's prefixed with next underscore public, that automatically goes it makes it to the front end.
Yeah, yeah, no, I just for some reason I thought I had to put it in the next config. It's been a minute, so okay, cool. All right,
It,
so we've
yeah,
got
it
that.
might have been like that a while ago.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
cool. So let's continue to the docs, I guess.
Hmm.
So I guess we'll just kind of go
Yeah.
through the walkthrough here. Okay.
Hmm.
So install Clerk Next.js. Cool. I'm gonna
Yeah.
stay very boring and just use npm. Cool.
Perfect.
Let's
So
install
the,
that.
the so yeah, so the Clerk Next.js, it like it includes our backend and our React package. but then it also like adds a bunch of stuff on top of it for like
Okay.
specifically like for app router support, or previously for the pages router support, and like middleware.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So
Okay.
for the front end, we
So
can start off with the Clerk provider.
okay. Cool. So just looking through here. Okay. So
Mhm.
let's go to the pages router then, since we've got the pages router enabled. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this,
But
and
you
let's.
enable the app router, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It
we
should
enable
be
the app
there.
router here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So I go into my page. Let's just add this. So I'll just get rid of that.
Oh, you want to be in the you want to go to layout, and we are in the app router, not in the pages router. So you want to copy the app router stuff from the docs.
Oh shoot. Sorry. I
Yeah,
for some reason I went reversey there. Okay. Cool. Yeah. And you said this is in the layout, right?
yeah,
Okay. So I can just replace the whole thing.
hmm
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
So
Let's.
basically all it's doing is it's wrapping the entire application in the in Clerk provider, which is going to ensure that whenever you enter the application, the provider is checking if you're authenticated or not, and then depending on that, it makes sure that the rest of the application has that information.
Okay. Cool. All right. So let's go to localhost. Okay, there's no CSS
Cool.
because I got rid of it. But okay, so this is the
Right, the layout.
main page. Yeah. So
Mhm.
um, is okay, that's just the provider. We haven't added any components yet.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
I think the next thing we can do is add the middleware. I think the doc
Okay.
should probably have the middleware as the next step.
Okay.
The
That's
middleware is where like the authentication, the like main authentication part happens. Yeah, right
okay.
there.
Okay. Cool. So here, just looking at it here, I'll zoom this in for
Mhm.
folks. All right. So we're adding a middleware, and it's just matching literally everything, pretty much. Is
Yeah,
that what's happening here? Okay. Cool.
yeah, pretty much everything except for like the underscore and next stuff, which might be the like the next internals.
Okay. Cool. All
But yeah,
right.
basically we want the middleware to run on anything that's slightly important. So any pages and any what's it called? Uh, any API routes and stuff.
Okay, cool. And I
Yeah.
know with the pages router, you used to put it in the source folder, but can I just have it in the
Mhm.
root, or should I put it in the app folder? Where does it
No,
say?
we don't have the source folder, so we just put
Okay,
it
yeah,
in the
so we're
root.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Mhm. We're good.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so it's
So
saying
so
with this,
now
your entire app stuff.
yeah. So you have the middleware now, and save. And now let's try going to the application and see what happens.
Okay,
Yeah. Refresh it, and this should So this should lead
okay,
us to the host pages. So
yeah,
this is kind of like the easiest way to like bring authentication and like get up and running with authentication in your app is like
okay,
you put the middleware in there, and now your app is protected, which basically means
okay,
that it's impossible to go to your application without being signed in.
okay,
And
cool.
because the default for the middleware, or the default for the authentication, is that if you're not signed in, uh, Clerk is going to redirect you to this thing called the account portal, which is
Okay,
basically a complete hosted user interface for like signing in, signing up, and all of that stuff. That's hosted and
okay,
managed by Clerk.
nice. Cool, cool. So, and like you said, this is the middleware doing this. So, like, if I just
Hmm.
close this here, uh, so the nice thing about this is like you can obviously
Hmm.
protect your entire application, like you said, but you
Hmm.
can also have like public and public facing stuff just excluded from the
Hmm.
middleware, and then yeah, no,
Yeah.
like
So if you
already
want
that was
public
super
facing
fast.
stuff, that was super fast. And like a lot of applications, they really just only need this. like uh, like if your application, you don't even want to like really focus on your authentication UI. All you want to do is like make sure your application works and is a good
Yeah,
user experience. And for signing in, for signing up, you just want to like send them somewhere else, and once they're done signing in, bring them back. Like for example,
yeah,
you might have used this little niche product called ChatGPT, uh, which like they literally, if you've noticed, they don't have their own sign up or sign in UI. They literally,
Yeah.
like, if you click on sign in, they send you to auth zeros, like version of the hosted auth UI. And once you
Yeah.
sign up or sign in there, then you go back to ChatGPT's uh, application. And another
Yeah.
use case for this is like if you have internal tools where, again, you want to focus on building the tools. Like when I was at university, we had like 20, 30 different applications that we used, and almost
Mhm.
none of them had their own authentication UI. We just had the one central university login, and all of them worked, like pretty much all of those applications, they redirected us to that central login place, and then
Yeah.
redirected back to the application.
Okay. Yeah.
So this
No,
is
and this.
like the easiest way
Yeah.
to use it.
Yeah. No, like I said, that was super fast, and like,
Hmm.
and you were saying like a lot of people like maybe this is all they need, and I,
Hmm.
I like this because like you can focus on building your application or whatever you're doing,
Hmm.
and then it's like, I know there's been lots of talk about roll your own auth on at least on Twitter,
We
which
can
has
get into
been,
that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, but I know like I I find this appealing because like as someone who actually had to maintain a custom SAML authentication provider at one point,
Hmm.
don't do that, just
Oof.
FYI.
Yeah.
I mean it's a good learning experience, but it's not something I want to do. Like I just want to,
That's
I
all
want
it
to build.
is. It's a learning
Yeah,
experience.
yeah. So it's no, and the other thing about this too is like, okay, so we've got the auth baked in here, but also you're providing existing UI like components for like,
Hmm.
I imagine I could design this to be however I want to brand my own company potentially, but
Yeah.
it's nice to have out of the box, you know?
Yeah, we can do a quick walkthrough of that as well. If you have the Clerk dashboard still open, there's a tab on it for the account portal, and you can have like the like you can change the colors, you can add your own logo on it. Um,
Could have sworn I was
yeah,
already logged in. Why is it
okay. If you
not?
just click on Start Building, I think
Oh
that
yeah.
should put you.
Oh yeah, here
Yeah,
we go. Cool, cool.
yeah. So you see the account portal. That's actually a new, it used to be a little different. It used to be called
Okay.
Hosted Pages, but now you see the new badge on it. Yeah, account portal on that left menu. That has
Yeah.
the new badge. Yeah. So here,
Okay.
this is where like you manage those pages. You see all the URLs for it, and you can, if you go to customize, you can also like set up obviously redirects on
Okay.
what happens after you sign up, after you sign in. And
Yeah.
if you go to the customization tab, um, yeah,
Okay, you
here's where you
can
can
switch
like
things
change
up
the
here.
colors, change the font. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go badass.
Okay.
I don't know.
I
Just
like that color. That's
yeah.
nice.
Cool. Font. Okay. Now, like even this is nice, like, cause like you can
Mhm.
obviously build this out, yourself, but like I'm just trying to think of people like we're web developers, but like I'm trying to think of
Mhm.
somebody who's like just I put my site up, I just want to get this done. Like having stuff like this is cool. But as a dev though,
Mhm.
I like this too, where you can just say like after the sign up, like redirect to
Mhm.
onboarding. There's just like a lot of nice touches there, because like uh I'm just basing it on when I worked at Dev too, but like we basically set a flag, once their account was created, is onboarded true. So
Mhm.
this is like all, that's all just kind of baked in here. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
And we're in the dev
And a lot
mode
of
here, obviously.
times,
Yeah.
yeah, and a lot of times that you won't even need to have these redirects specified here, because it just Clerk kind of just automatically infers them from your application. Like for example, if you just go to myapplication.com and you get redirected to the auth UI, uh,
Yeah.
Clerk will also like set that in the URL that, oh, you came from myapplication.com. So once you're done signing in, you're going to get redirected to myapplication.com. and you can have that URL, like let's say you send a URL to someone, you're sharing it, and that like it is
Yeah.
slash something slash something. So that's going to be in there in the URL.
Yeah. Gotcha. Just trying to remember where that CSS was. Global.
You would want to
Yeah.
import the CSS in the layout.tsx file, not
Oh
in
yeah,
the
yeah. Well,
middleware.
I am in the middleware. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Just to make it look a little nice again. For
Yeah, and
where was
Next.js
it?
is one of those things where it's like if you're not using it like every week, you come back to it
Yeah.
after a few months and you don't know what's going on.
Oh, app. Okay. Cool. All right. So it's right there. Cool. Cool. That should be fine. I think. No.
It's
Where
probably
was
just
it?
dot slash.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. No. Oh, that's me. What did I do? This has nothing to do with Clerk. This is just me
Oh, there we
putting
go.
in this just me putting in random characters in code. Cool, cool. All right,
All
there we
good.
go. We're
There we
back
go.
to okay.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. Okay, so we've got the provider in there now, and we added the
hmm
middleware like you said. So like, say I
hmm
want to add my logout button or see a bit of info
hmm
about me.
Yeah.
There's a component for that, I think.
Yeah. There's a component for everything. So I guess right here, like right above this div,
Yeah.
let's add our use. Let's add a user button, like inside. Let's do it inside the main.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, right. So right above this div, just type user button, and it should. If you have auto import on,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh yeah, there we go.
Cool. Okay.
And that's it. Just like self close.
Expected JSX
Wait, go back.
identifier.
You need to
Oh,
finish closing
it
the tag.
removed
Yeah,
it. That's weird. Oh, it's you know what it was? It
there.
was I think it was GitHub Copilot showing me that it was adding it, but I thought it was there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so I got me here. Okay. Yeah, and
hmm
again, it's nice that you get this component out of the box.
hmm
Again, like you mentioned, I guess you can probably customize it to some degree,
hmm
but like
Yeah. So these
already, like
components
yeah.
are a lot more customizable than like just changing the color and the font.
Mm-hmm.
uh, but yeah, you can click on this. You can the user you can the manage account button that opens the user profile. This is like one of
Okay.
our most important, most detailed components, because like
Okay.
this gives the user control of their entire account. And this like it's an entirely self-serviceable uh, like user management session and account management component, where you can go
Yeah.
in and go ahead and change your email or add a new email, connect more OAuth accounts, and see which devices you're logged in from, remotely sign out of them if you noticed something problematic or anything like
Okay.
that.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, and
And again, just
even like if you have two-factor enabled, you can add two-factor stuff on it on here.
okay. Yeah, and just to reiterate again, like we added the provider in the layout, like literally just
hmm
this component. Then we added the
Yeah.
middleware, and we were up and running super fast. And then like just popping in this user button just like that. Like that's I I, I don't even know how much time that would take if you were doing that bespoke, but it's definitely not like 10 minutes or five
Yeah.
minutes for sure. So there's a lot of value in there already. Cool, cool, cool. Now,
Yeah, and
the
like that's one of the key arguments. Like whenever like we talk about rolling your own auth, or like using an open source library, like this is like one of the key arguments that I always try to make, is that how much time do you want to be spending on auth versus how much time do you want to be spending on building something that brings your specific application, your business value,
yeah,
versus just trying to cut costs.
I know
Right.
for sure, for sure. And the funny thing when we were talking before the stream was you're like, honestly, the clerk stuff's probably gonna be pretty quick because it like the DX is good and it's just really quick to do these things. So, like we essentially have everything we need to just have authentication. Um, in terms of authorization, like for like
Mhm.
certain pages and stuff, can we configure that um, in Clerk, or is that something outside of the scope of what Clerk does?
Yeah, so in terms of authorization, like we can do quite a bit. Now, Clerk doesn't yet have some like role-based or access-based authentication. Uh, we do have
Yeah.
like obviously a multi-tenancy. So basic role-based authentication, which is like, or an organization can have an admin and a user. And an
Okay.
admin is allowed to like invite new people uh, to the organization and change their roles. So
Okay.
that's like the very basic level of authorization that we have. And obviously in terms of pages, we have that as well. So if we go back to our middleware, um,
Yeah.
the auth middleware, we can I can show you like what pages you're allowed to, like if you have any public pages, obviously you can define that in here. So if
Okay.
you go to the object that we're passing into the auth middleware function,
Yeah.
you can define a property here called public routes,
Okay.
and this is an array of strings.
Okay.
And yeah, it like that, so you can define which path or which routes in here need to be public. So like if you have a
Okay.
landing page, if you have a marketing site, uh,
Okay.
whatever those pages could be, you can say that this is the public route,
Okay. So
or
like
even like
just
your home route. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Uh, we'll leave the. I guess we can. I can copy it. Actually, wait. Um, let's create another page. With the app router, you have to create a folder for the new route, right?
Yeah, so
Is that
you
right?
have to
Yeah.
have a page.tsx file into
Yeah.
in a folder, and that'll be converted into a route.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. All right. So let's just copy these.
Mhm. You don't necessarily need a layout, but
Okay. Yeah. We'll just copy this then. Well, without the because it'll inherit that layout, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. So let's just do this, and then I'll leave the user button there, but just to show that
Mhm.
it's, I'll just put something else in here. Let's just say like, okay, cool. All right. So if we come back here now, so
Mhm.
I'll just sign out.
Yeah.
So I can't access the main
Just
page, but if I go
yeah.
to localhost/landing, I should in theory be able to hit it. Yeah, there we
Yep.
go. Cool. And then if I obviously go back to the main one, I should be
Mhm.
redirected to auth. Yeah, again, then I log in. Cool. Yeah. Uh, no, that's super fast too.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
I think it is one of the things that your team probably talks about a lot, but it's just it just
Mhm.
seems like very fast to be able to just build stuff because this stuff just works, you know?
Yeah,
Uh,
that's pretty much like one of the core things that we focus on quite a bit, is that we want we want authentication to be like as easy as possible. Like we want you to like like set some of this up, and then just like never think about this again. Like that's one of the core tenets of like what we are trying to build. And it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
just with authentication, it's like even stuff beyond it. Like one of the things
Okay.
that I really like, uh, that I'm like trying to build more of my messaging and more of my content around, is that how do you take an idea that you have
Mm-hmm.
and build it out, like build some sort of an application, and just like bring in Clerk and just take this one idea into just a fully functioning SaaS application that you can start selling to people. And
Yeah.
like this is the key thing that Clerk makes super easy, that you can like uh, like maybe I want to build a new kind of project management application with some gamification, or I want to
Yeah.
build a travel planning application with AI powered in there, or I want to build a checklist applications that I want to build, that I want to sell government agencies. Like these are just
Mm-hmm.
like some random ideas that I may or may not be working on, but
Okay.
like these are things that Clerk makes it super easy, because I can just like spend like hours of my time like building my travel planning application, and then I can spend like 15 minutes bringing in Clerk, and now I can
Yeah.
actually like publish this and like start selling it to people, or like
Yeah.
and
No.
have people signing up for it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah. Again, like you said, we'd probably run out of stuff to demo for Clerk because it just went so quickly. But that's a good thing. Um, I dropped the link to Clerk in the chat. Folks can check that out if they want to. Um, so well, I guess before we move on, is there anything else you wanted to mention about Clerk in terms of what you offer? Or, but if not, we can definitely kind of, we always kind of go on tangents. So like, we can definitely talk about a few things. Um,
I can go on
yeah.
as many tangents as you want.
Yeah. Well, I
I
guess,
guess might wanna go ahead.
no, you go ahead. Sorry. I cut you off.
I guess I might I guess I want to hear about like your thoughts or opinions on like the spectrum of like rolling your own auth or using open source libraries or using auth providers. Like there's been a lot of conversations and I've never seen you chime in on any of them.
Yeah, it's like, well, when I worked on the custom SAML based
Hmm.
provide, like, as the identity provider and stuff, and it's been years, so like I'm probably butchering some of the terminology, but it was like I was working in a Microsoft shop, and
Hmm.
it was like for a bunch of SharePoint applications, and
Hmm.
it, I think the thing with like something like SAML is it's it's kind of it's kind of complicated, and I don't know if it has to be or not, but it just is. like
It's
from what I
enterprise, of
remember.
course, it has to be complicated.
Well, like, because like from what I remember, it's like, okay, boom, you get redirected to the login, you log in, and then it does a forum post, and then there's like a weird redirect, and there's like all these posts a few times, and
Hmm.
from what I remember, and I've always found this bizarre, and I don't know if this was just how Microsoft implemented the logout at that point, but you used to get little check boxes that would show up, like actual images, and the URLs of those images are what logged you out. And like, and there's just like stuff like even refreshing. I don't know if you've ever experienced like you log out of some place and then you refresh the page, but you're still logged in even if you log out. And like, eh,
Wow.
as a dev, we know, okay, I'm just gonna clear the application cache, like clear my cookies, clear my local storage or
Hmm.
whatever. But like, it's like I think the Microsoft sign in is one of those that it's like you can't be completely logged out until you close the browser. I think, and um,
Damn.
and then like uh, it's like we implemented OAuth. This was all in the .NET ecosystem, so it
Hmm.
was kind of open source, but like this is like this is pre .NET being open source. So, but the thing is, it's like it's it's not something I really wanted to do, and it's because it's kind of a boring thing,
Hmm.
and it's you have to get it right. You know what I mean? Like even implementing
Yeah.
OAuth, like you can follow the instructions because there was OAuth and there was OAuth 2. I can't remember the differences, but you know, a lot of it's just configuring it right. But you know, it's just stuff I didn't want to deal with, to be honest. Like that's kind of my
Yeah.
experience. It's like
Hmm.
it's really nice. Like, if they gave clear instructions, sometimes, like there are some that have really good instructions to say like, do this, do that, add your API key or your and so on. It's not like you can't follow the instructions, but it's just something I'm just really not that interested in. I'd rather build experiences than like build
Hmm.
auth. So, but like in terms of, there's a lot of open source OAuth stuff, but like it's kind of weird how, well, not weird. Like open source is a good thing, but like I'm thinking of stuff like the TLS stuff. They got like there was a few years ago where like there's a bunch of people maintaining it, but then there was like a bug or something, and these were like all volunteers, because like it's kind of like if you think of like what's curl. It's been that one guy,
Hmm.
Daniel, I forget his last name, but he's been pretty much doing that for free for like 20 plus years, and it's like it's a key piece of dev tooling that people use every day, and it's like it
Hmm.
it's like cue up that meme, kind of like when left pad got taken out of npm, and you just pull
Yeah,
out that little thing there, it's like
or the
it's
faker JS.
yeah. So like, it's amazing that all this stuff is open source, but at the same time it's like I guess it's impressive that we trust a lot of open source for certain things,
Hmm.
I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
because like what's the, I mean, obviously the people who store these projects are hopefully typically good netizens, but
Hmm.
there's somebody could literally just say, I'm just like I remember at one point, npm packages were getting like crypto miners and post install scripts, and then like you might have noticed this on GitHub a couple years ago, but like people would be putting up PRs just so they could mine stuff, and then
Hmm.
GitHub clued in obviously their security team. So like now you have this new mechanism in place where it's like a first time contributor, you have to allow them to run and stuff, and
Hmm.
just I don't know if I fully answered your question, but it's just like it's really like there's lots of great software out there. It's just it's the
Hmm.
kind of thing I don't really want to deal with, or it's like
For sure,
or it's
yeah.
like or it's like something, okay, maybe you go through the potential pain of setting it up once. Like
Mhm.
I kind of equate it to like, for whatever reason, I always used to be the person whenever I started at a job that I was always the person configuring Webpack. This is like pre-meta frameworks, like because like I know you're aware that Webpack's in Next.js, and
Mhm.
there's probably a bunch of people that are, but like for like a newbie just installing Next.js, they haven't had to go through the pain of like installing loaders and plugins for Webpack just so you can import an
Mhm.
SVG, or like, get TypeScript working with TS fork because you want it building faster. There's like none of that stuff you have to worry about now because it's been abstracted away. It's just like you all you and Vite as well, which is great. It's like it's something you don't have to think about anymore. Somebody's
Mhm.
done that awesome work and it's just been abstracted
Mhm.
away. It's just like, okay, I make my
Yeah,
pages and they somehow magically recompile and bundle. So it's like
yeah. I remember
those.
watching tutorial videos that had an entire section dedicated to them for, like literally writing a Webpack config from scratch, and
Yeah.
there were also a couple for like writing a grunt file from scratch.
Okay.
So yeah, I just like watched those and I completely ignored those parts and just moved on.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I must say, to the credit of the Webpack team, like they,
Mhm.
I think it was in Webpack 4 or like a version 4 release, they ended up getting pretty sensible defaults, which was great, and so and
Nice.
Webpack 5 got faster and stuff. But like, there's all kinds of, well, there's a few bundlers now. I think the main ones are still Webpack, just because that's what Next.js relies on, and even I
Mhm.
think Nux 2 relies on Webpack still, but like Nux 3 is like Vite. Pretty much any new framework
Mhm.
coming out now is Vite. Like Astro, Solid's using it.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah, most of
basically,
the ecosystem outside of Next and Remix is now Vite based.
yeah. So it's like, yeah, and Gatsby too. Gatsby's still on Webpack.
Mhm.
I can't
All
remember if
right.
they're on Webpack 5 or not, but yeah, it seems like most folks have moved to Vite. In
Mhm.
I know there's TurboPack as well, which is
Yeah.
Jared Palmer's baby that's now over at Vercel. There's that too. I
Mhm.
haven't, aside from Next.js, which you can enable it. I mean, TurboPack's more. It's like a mono repo and everything, but I don't. Aside from Next.js, I don't know. The only other project I know using TurboPack is Jacob Evans, who was previously at Cloudflare but is now your coworker.
Mhm.
I think he set up TurboPack with the Wrangler CLI. I think that's what he said.
So that's I think you might be getting confused between Turbo Pack and Turbo Repo, which are
Oh yeah, yeah,
still
yeah, yeah.
two
Sorry,
separate
yeah, yeah. Thank you,
projects.
thank you. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Good call. Yeah, yeah. Mixing them up. Yeah, sorry. Turbo Pack is kind of supposed to be the successor to Webpack, and yeah, Turbo Repo's the
Mhm.
mono repo. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Too many
No
turbos.
problem. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Too many turbos and too many Jareds working on JavaScript stuff these
That's
days.
true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's true. Yeah, yeah. Jared Sumner, Jared Palmer. Yeah, yeah. Cool, cool, cool.
But yeah,
Yeah, like
Turbo Repo is, yeah, that's what Jacob was working on. That's what Jared Palmer is working on. Turbo Pack, I believe it's still in alpha or beta or something, and it's only being used by Next.js under an experimental flag. Um,
yeah,
there is a different kind of like version of a Rust based Webpack alternative called RS Pack. I don't know what exactly is
yeah,
going on with it, but a Turbo Pack is what like the Webpack maintainers are now working on, or like at least a
yeah,
few of them are now working
yeah.
on.
Yeah, there's a few people from ByteDance, people behind TikTok working on
Mhm.
that. Yeah, and from I haven't used RS Pack, but I know they put up a PR to implement to put RS Pack into Gatsby, just
Nice.
because like that was kind of like under my radar just because of I was on the frameworks team,
Mhm.
but I know, yeah, like I think the selling points I've heard from it, like obviously as soon as somebody says Rust, everybody's like it's just faster,
Yeah.
that which I think is true in the case of RS Pack or Turbo Pack, but I think what RS Pack is doing is I think it's backwards compatible with Webpack, like it should be a
Mhm.
drop in replacement, and
Mhm.
I think the difference too isn't like I'm not super familiar with TurboPack, but I think if you want to write plugins and stuff right now with TurboPack, I think you have to write them in Rust. I think I'm not positive about
That
that,
makes sense.
but I'm pretty
That's
sure
possible.
in
I think
yeah,
I think Bun like tried a little, like Bun made a special exception for, or I guess I shouldn't say special exception, but it's more like, I don't know what's happening with my headphones. Give me a second.
yeah, yeah, no
Uh,
worries. Yeah.
okay,
Um,
my headphones kept triggering Alexa for some reason. I don't know why.
okay, okay.
Um, yeah. What
Yeah,
was
you
I
were saying
saying?
about TurboPack,
Yeah.
I think.
So Turbo Pack. Yeah, I think I'm not sure, but yeah, I think that makes sense. That Turbo Pack, the plugins have to be written in Rust. But yeah, it's not supposed to be a drop-in replacement like RS Pack. It's supposed to be like the next evolution of what Webpack is supposed
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah. Well, there's other tooling that's all Rust based too now, like SWC,
Mhm.
like which I think it's somebody I can't remember who created it, but somebody from the Vercel team that created SWC, and
I don't remember.
it's not shutting, it's somebody else, uh, but I know because when I spoke to Luca from the Dino team about a year and a half ago, we were talking about Fresh, and then there's some things I didn't understand about Dino initially, because like I was like,
Okay.
how are they running TypeScript on the server, and like how are they serving TypeScript to the
Mhm.
browser, which like I mean I know like typically you compile or transpile these things, but I didn't
Mhm.
understand what Dino was doing because they said there was like no build step. So
Mhm.
it turns out they well what the reason why I bring it up is because they actually use SWC to strip the types in Dino, so
Nice.
they don't use TypeScript itself to do that.
Mhm.
But it was interesting with Dino is they do some optimizations like before you hit Dino, so like they run through several code paths of the TypeScript compiler, and that somehow it just kind of warms it up to some degree, and they have an image of that. And then the same thing with V8. They have like a shot of V8 or something, I think, and I'll have to rewatch the video, but basically they do a bunch of optimizations to warm up these things so that when it goes to serve your page, it's it's transpiling these things on the fly, but it's super fast. Like he basically said,
Nice.
it's pretty much negligible because like that's where I was confused. I was like, because but it's a different approach because you're transpiling one file at a time or whatever files
Mhm.
you're serving versus like typically in a TypeScript app you're bundling the whole app and yes you do incremental updates as once you have the full bundle, but it's usually a longer step to bundle the whole thing, right? Even so, I just found that interesting on how they serve up stuff like that, and I still don't completely understand all of it, but that's essentially the gist of what I got is they warm up code pass in the TypeScript compiler,
Mhm.
and the V8 uh, V8 has this snapshot that's optimized, and then that's what you get served when you hit like the when you hit like Dino deploy or like Supabase or Netlify, whoever's using Dino.
Right.
So yeah, it's pretty interesting,
Nice.
but it's
Yeah, I'm not smart enough to understand runtimes yet.
yeah, well, it's interesting because like the neat thing about that is because it's using V8, so like you know you can debug Node.js in VS Code because there's the language server and they know how to hook it up and everything.
Mhm.
But like before you had stuff like that, you basically use your browser to debug Node.js because it's V8, so you have all the same
Mhm.
debug tooling and
Right.
and because I didn't realize exactly what Dino was initially. The
Okay.
side effect of it is you can use the browser for debugging as well. You can also debug in VS Code too, but because it's V8, you have access to the same tools still, which is kind of nice. Um,
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
Dino was like built to be more like much closer to the browser standards, right? So makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. It's have you used Bun at all yet? Because I haven't personally. I think I
Not yet.
Yeah, I installed it like last year, and I was getting like these seg fault errors, and just because it was like early days still.
Yeah,
But like they
that's what I keep
obviously,
hearing.
yeah, but like obviously they hit 1.0 and they're still fixing bugs and stuff. Like I was listening to I think it was the React Native Radio Show podcast. It's like a long name, but they were talking with Jared Sumner and just basically saying there's just lots of issues to fix. So I think they're focusing on that now. But it's exciting to see it though. Like I think I don't know if Bun will last or not, but I think a good thing of when like these new bundlers or new tools come out, they push existing tools to get better, which is a
Mhm.
nice side effect. Um,
Yeah.
and the other thing too is like a lot of these tooling like Node.js, everybody, as far as I know, pretty much everybody on Node.js is like volunteers, right? Like there's
Hmm.
I think maybe some might be backed by the company they worked at potentially, but
Hmm.
it's just a lot of volunteer work and this gets back to my point about like I'm always amazed like these are production grade things that people are using and it's like it's all I mean this is open source. I love open source, but like
Hmm.
I was talking with Josh Goldberg last year and there's the whole
Hmm.
I'm still curious, what the funding story is going to be with open source because it's kind of all over the map right now, and it's not,
Hmm.
you know, like there's GitHub sponsors, you got Patreon, buy me a cup of
Hmm.
coffee. Then there's like sometimes companies will give money, like I know like Netlify had their Jamstack fund that were funding open
Hmm.
source projects. Like I think Vercel funds things as well.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, then there's also like this Netlify just like hiring Ryan Carniero to work on some Solid full time, or Vercel hiring Rich Harris to work on Svelte full time. I guess that's kind of the rare exception, but also sometimes happens, I guess, now.
yeah, no, it's cool to. I mean, I'm not working with Ryan anymore. I didn't work directly with him anyways when I was at Netlify, but he's he's such a any conversation I had with him was just always great to talk to him. He's just so
Yeah.
so knowledgeable and just kind person, and I think it's
Mm,
great that like himself or somebody like Rich are getting to work on the projects they love and get funding for it. I think it's really great. I don't know how, you know, how long that can go on for companies. I don't know, but I think if they can do it, I think it's great, and they're great examples of projects too, like so it's yeah, and yeah, for the OSS funding, I don't have an answer to it, but it's like think about like even stuff like you know Babel's still used quite a bit, but like just again all these big enterprises using all this open source software and like sometimes not even giving a dime to it, it just seems weird, like for a large company, like even if it was a drop in the pond, like here's $100,000, which doesn't affect the company at all, like, but I know there's certain companies, and I can't think of one offhand, but I know there's some companies where they actually have budgets for these things, and even employees sometimes they can just say like, okay, you get, I don't know, $100 a month for open source, and you can like sponsor people if you want or whatever, or companies will sponsor projects like we're saying, but I'm just kind of curious what the future is there in open source, because like that open source is a lot different than when it first started. I think it was more, well, this still exists in open source, but like it was just
yeah.
about like making things for people and like just talking about ideas, but they're you know like anything good, money gets involved at some point, or like people are just using
Mhm.
things without compensating. I don't know. It's a weird, I don't know. I don't have any answers to it, to be honest, but it seems like a weird thing still.
Mm. Yeah, I think that there's still like there's still definitely a big uh, proportion of open source which is like completely voluntary, and like I just work on it because I want to, not because I get money out of it or anything. Like
Yeah.
I got to chat with Mark Erickson at React Miami about like
Okay.
his time working at Redux, and like what made him start contributing. And he's like one of the big inspirations for a lot of open source contributors, because he has like poured so much of his life
Hmm.
working on Redux, like for completely free, completely open source, just like on his free time because he wants to. Like he has no motivations, like he doesn't have any incentive to work on Redux other than like he loves to, and
Yeah,
completely
exactly.
open
Because
source.
yeah, no, I forget who was telling me to chat with him. I can't remember if it was somebody at
Oh yeah, I 100%
Netlify.
recommend chatting with Mark Erickson.
Yeah, yeah, no, and it's yeah, like even for myself, like, well, I always say it's a privilege to be able to work in open source. I'm not the only one to say that, but like, you
I
know what I
wish
mean?
I
Like,
closed more issues. Yeah, pretty much.
yeah, yeah, cannot reproduce close. That brings up a whole other thing. Did you see that about Lodash? And they just literally closed all the issues and declared issue bankruptcy, and
Yeah.
they're just starting from
Hmm.
scratch. It's
Yeah, it was
interesting.
pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's
I mean, yes, someone said that. Yeah, it's like this is dropping your entire backlog, which yeah makes sense. A lot of those issues from like years and years ago probably don't even make sense anymore. So
yeah,
it's like one of those things. If it's important enough, it'll come up again,
yeah,
right?
exactly. And to be honest, I've worked at a bunch of companies where you put stuff in a backlog, and it's really like a black
Mhm.
hole. It's not a backlog. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm putting in the backlog because we're never gonna do this. You know. But
yeah.
yeah,
And then when someone comes on to someone comes along on Twitter and says that backlogs are like you shouldn't use backlogs, and everyone starts firing on them like, oh, you don't have a backlog, how do you work? But like, it kind of makes sense. Like backlogs, mm, almost like 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100, backlogs just turn into a black hole. It's
yeah,
not really a productive part of your organization or your team.
yeah, and it's I, I don't know. I've worked with agile methodologies in several companies, and I can honestly say I've never worked anywhere where it worked perfectly or even
Mhm.
necessarily smoothly. You know,
Yeah.
I think the thing I kind of fell on is, well, it depends what you're doing too, but like I I kind of realized I like working on product, and I think going more like the Kanban route makes more sense because like with the sprint, it's like, okay, you got 3 weeks, you have, this is what we said we're doing, and then people would, like it would get to deadlines and corners would
Hmm.
get cut or whatever, and it's, if you're building a product, you're in there for the long term, so like I find it's
Hmm.
better to say like, I mean Kanban in the sense not to say, yeah, it's not ready yet, it's not ready yet every week, but it more like you can kind of say like, hey, well, we're feeling pretty confident. We're at 95% now, so probably, not definitely, but like probably in the next couple of weeks we should be done,
Hmm.
and like I think that style works good with product. You can still ship stuff frequently, but it's
Hmm.
just like I think with a sprint, it develops this urgency that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to build something great, at least in my
Hmm.
experience. Or sometimes too many things just get jammed in a sprint, and then like, and I don't know.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things, like people talk about velocity, but like I've been on teams and then they switch like one or two people out, which basically changes your
Hmm.
velocity. So like whatever you had before makes no sense anymore. And you know, there's like process to it. I've worked where we had scrum masters and stuff, and there's a lot of stuff I think the layers aren't necessary, to be honest. Like,
Yeah, I really hope that I don't have to, like, if I go back into engineering, I really hope I don't have to work in a Scrum organization again. It's just completely counterproductive.
yeah, and yeah, again, like I said, it doesn't mean you don't ship frequently. It's just like you're iterating, right?
Yeah.
Because you're building a product, but it's different if you're at an agency. It's like, okay, well, this client needs this in 3 weeks, and so like, what I mean, sometimes you'll be like, okay, well, we didn't add tests, or maybe just because you're shipping for a client at an agency, that just doesn't even show up on the, in the plan, you know what I mean, like, so.
Yeah,
But anyways,
that was a lot
but
of tangents.
yeah, yeah, a lot of tangents, a lot of tangents. But yeah, I was gonna yeah, we went on tangents there, but I was getting back to what I wanted to say about open source. Is it's like I definitely love working in it. Like I'm in my third job where I'm working in open source and getting paid for it, which is I'm very grateful for because it's something I love to do and I'm getting paid for it. But like even before getting paid to work in open source, it's something I enjoyed. Like and I know not everybody can. It is a privilege to be able to say, hey, tonight I'm just gonna work on this thing. Not everybody can do that always, so I can definitely understand
Mhm.
that. But if you can contribute to open source, I've just always found like basically as soon as I started contributing to open source, my only good things have happened in my career, basically. And I think if you get past the, oh, my code's out in the open for everybody to see, like don't look at my horrible
Mhm.
code kind of thing. If you can get over that, I think it's just great. Like, um, and I don't know. I've just gotten comfortable working in public and interacting with the developer community. It's not really DevRel, but like I've kind of always baked a bit of DevRel into like my engineering work. It just
Mhm.
and I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah, definitely. Now, I think
yeah.
the primary reason that like I said, I transitioned into content creation and DevRel is because I recognize that these are really nice skills to have, even though, like, even if I don't want to be doing DevRel for the rest of my life, even if I
Mm-hmm.
do want to switch back into engineering at some point, these are skills that will be helpful, that I would want to be doing at to some extent, uh, anyways. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I think the sweet spot of, like, doing primarily engineering with a bit of DevRel work as well is a really nice thing. It's a really nice place to be.
yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
no,
that
for sure,
said,
for sure.
open source seems to be like, it's really exciting to see where it's going. So Congrats on
Yeah.
this new job.
Yeah, no, appreciate it, man. I will drop it if folks want to check it out. But yeah, it's,
Yeah.
I'm
So
still,
what are you doing at open source?
yeah, so I'm one of the founding engineers. So like the team's super small still. So we're building out the product and working out in the open, and we've got a great community of folks too where people are interested in contributing to the project. I don't, I'm still learning the ropes. So like, I probably couldn't give you like the full business outlook yet, maybe, but I'm sure over time I will be able to. But it's it's just, I think for me the things that appealed to me about open source are, well, I've been following Brian Douglas, who's the one that founded the company, for a while. I had him on like the Dev2 Twitch stream when I was working over there, and I've streamed with him a couple times since, and I don't know about yourself, but like I'm always pretty terrible at creating open source projects. I tend to gravitate towards, hey, I like this project. I think I'll contribute to it. And like that's how I got into, that's how I started contributing to Dev 2. And then that eventually turned into them actually hiring me, which was nice. But like open source was another one of those projects where like I liked what they were doing, and tried to help where I could in my spare time, outside of work, and then things just kind of lined up where it was like this opportunity came about, and I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna go for it, and not YOLO, like there, I definitely
Yeah.
have uh, took time to think about it,
Mhm.
but I don't know, I'm just excited about where the project's going, and the fact that it's, I'm working in the open still, so I'm kind of 3 for 3 working in open source my last 3 jobs. So like,
Mhm.
because like even all the stuff I did at Netlify, uh, I can't say for certain, but I think one of the reasons they hired me was definitely because I'd been working in open source, because like all the stuff I did there was in open source. There might have
For
been
sure.
a very, I can't even remember an internal project that I might have worked on like that was private. I think everything I did there was open source. Oh, hey, Will Sai, thanks for joining. Yeah, I'm excited to see where open source is headed too. Um, but
Yeah, I met B Dougie for the first time like about a year ago, and I think he
Okay,
was solo. Like I don't think if he had anyone else on the open source team at that time, but he mentioned that he is like looking to hire more people to like join his team to do more stuff with him. So
yeah,
it's really nice to see like from that point till today, there's like so much, like it has gone from one person to like so many more people.
okay. Yeah, no, I got Will Sai in the chat. Got to meet Will. It's Will Klein. I don't know if you know them, but I got to meet him at
I don't
Refactor
think I know
DX in
them.
Toronto. He recently retired, I think. I don't know if that's still the case, Will, but yeah,
Okay.
got to hang out with him and like James Quick and a few other people in Toronto. It's kind of, I think it's like a month after Render. But yeah, he said, yeah, retired, just working on stuff for fun these days. That's goals right there. Um,
Ooh.
but yeah, no, it's yeah, I don't know. I'm just, yeah, I'm excited to see where the open source goes, and I'm just, it's super fun. Like anytime you're at a org where it's like a small company, because it kind of reminds me when I started at Dev, we were a small team, and
Mhm.
you're able to provide like a lot of impact, because the team was smaller, and
Mhm.
you can still move fast in larger teams, but like when you're smaller you tend to move faster too, and you can make decisions quicker too because there's less stakeholders, you know what I mean? It's like if you're 4 at the company, it's like, okay, 3 out of 4 said it was good, let's do it, or I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. When I joined Clerk, we had like 30, 31 people, and now we're at like 50 plus or something. So we're
Okay.
also growing very fast, very quickly.
Yeah. Is that mainly
It's great to
engineering
see
right
them
now?
grow.
Because like I know, like we were saying before, Jacob Evans, who used to be at Cloudflare, is working. No, he's
Mhm.
a developer advocate as well now, right? Is that the case?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he's in DevRel. I think his role, like his title is DX engineer, DXE. Uh,
Okay.
but yeah, like it's been a combination of like engineers as well as like people in the design or DevRel or like I guess I'll have like docs and support. So it's been like all over the place.
Okay.
Obviously,
Okay. Okay.
Jeff has been a big help, like as a senior engineer. So
Yeah. Is he?
yeah.
Jeff's the CTO. Is he still kind of doing some engineering work as well, or is it more just
Oh, not
advising?
no, not CTO. Jeff Escalante. He was managing the Next.js team uh,
Yeah.
like last year, and then now he's a senior manager at Clerk, now the CTO.
Oh, okay, 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 okay. I mixed up the roles there. Sorry. Yeah, no, I got to meet Jeff along with you at
Hmm.
Render. He seemed pretty like a pretty cool dude. Didn't
Yeah.
didn't have tons of time to speak to both of you, but I was just excited to go on another tangent just because like conferences I hadn't really been to any, so like I was just super excited to just talk to people. Not that I don't talk to people back
Hmm.
home. It's just like all these
Yeah,
people that
talking to
I've
people at
only.
conferences is a different experience.
Yeah, well, it's because like especially because they're all people that like I really only knew from Twitter or
Hmm.
uh, maybe some people like I'm in my virtual coffee community, so we have like a
Hmm.
Slack and we do Zoom calls and stuff. So I've
Hmm.
been face to face like virtually with a
Hmm.
bunch of those folks, but I got to meet a lot of those people face to face and that
Hmm.
in person, and that it was just cool. It's like
Yeah.
finally, like even Will Johnson, who's
Hmm.
over at Okta, he was good people. I got to hang out with
Hmm.
him. Got to meet Colby Fayok. We hung out a bit.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's just nice.
Yeah.
So
I gotta start coming to more virtual coffee Zoom calls. I've only been to one.
okay, okay, yeah, no, they're really great. The community's grown quite a bit. I'll drop it in the
Hmm.
chat if anybody's interested. Like it literally started off at pretty much the start of the pandemic. Becca, who's a good friend of mine, she's the one that
Hmm.
started it, and it was literally on Twitter initially. Like, does anybody want to meet for a virtual coffee? And so then, like I literally DM'd her. I said, "Oh, what's the Zoom? How do I join or whatever?" She's like, "Here's the Zoom link," and it's gotten a lot more automated now. Like, there's a Slack
Hmm.
community, and like
Hmm.
there's like automations now where it just says time to join, and Zoom
Hmm.
spins up and stuff. But it's grown quite a bit, and for me, it's been a great community. Just we don't always talk about tech stuff. It tends to lean to
Hmm.
that for obvious reasons because all of us are in tech. But
Hmm.
it's been a great community, and yeah, it's one of my favorite places on the internet. So yeah, if you get a chance to check it out again, definitely pop by.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, cool, cool. Well, I know we're getting close on time here. I do. It is my first week at work, so I do have to get back to work. but no, it's been awesome hanging. I think this is the first time we had like a super long chat, so really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
for sure. That's great.
And yeah, I love all you're doing over there at Clerk, and I dropped the links for
Thanks.
your YouTube and your socials there. Definitely give Dev a follow if you aren't already. He's good people, and I haven't seen your recent YouTube stuff, but like I've caught your streams. I know you mentioned you're kind of pausing on streams for now to focus more on
Hmm.
YouTube content. But I can definitely say like when I've caught your streams, I've enjoyed them quite a bit. Just the
Yeah, I think my last YouTube video was a 40-minute rant on Jamstack.
getting spicy, getting spicy. Oh, hey, how's it going, Lucian? Yeah, yeah. And aren't you always talking with chopsticks, like as a microphone, or was that just like your own self-made meme from like one video, or?
Yeah, I mean, I try to do something. it was like it's something very random that I did for my first video, which is I had a lapel mic and I wanted to hold it close to my mouth, but I couldn't. I didn't just want to hold it in my hand because that felt weird. So I put it
Yeah.
on a fork, on a plastic fork that I had next to me, and from then it just became a running thing that every video I just have to have like something random. So it was
Yeah.
a fork, it was a comb, it was a plastic knife, it's chopsticks, it's strawberry for one of them. I think for the jam stack one, I got a Pop Tart. So because jam stack.
Yeah. 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 Gotcha. Gotcha.
I was looking for an uncrustable sandwich, but I couldn't find one, so I had to settle with a Pop Tart.
Okay, okay. I discovered Uncrustables because of Tracy Leet last a couple days ago. She posted it. I mean, I've had crustless sandwiches, but I didn't realize you could
Mhm.
actually buy them. So that's up there with Ryan Florence's sliced watermelon with skyrocketing inflation, which is a whole other thing I don't want to get into. But that I was not expecting a lot of backlash from that tweet, but that was pretty Twitter like, you know. So
Yeah, Twitter will
yeah,
give you the most unexpected things always.
yeah, yeah. Cool, cool, cool. Well, it's been awesome hanging. And I'll drop again, folks. Definitely check out Clerk if you haven't already. It's great for
Yeah,
React, but
let
if
me
you,
know what you think of Clerk if you give it a try.
yeah, yeah, no, I'm gonna, I'm wondering if I should build out a next app or maybe remake. I'm kind of thinking I might try and use a different framework just
Sure,
to try
yeah.
it out, you know. But yeah, I'll it's actually Hacktoberfest is coming up, so maybe
Hmm.
I'll build something with it. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, no, I'll definitely get back to you. Cool, cool. All right. Next week, I'm gonna be hanging out with the. My stream schedule is gonna change just because I have a work meeting now on Wednesdays. But I'm gonna be hanging out with Aditya from Appright next week. We're gonna be talking about a new feature they have
Nice.
called function templates. I have not worked with Appright at all yet, so I'm curious to explore all that. So definitely check that out, and I'll drop the schedule for all the other folks coming on. There's another one coming up. I'm gonna be hanging out with Amy Dutton in October, and also um, their name's escaping me at the moment. I think is the nickname's Pelly, but there's a Microsoft engineer. Pretty sure their name's Pelly. We're gonna be talking about device script, and it's using TypeScript for embeddable devices. So pretty excited about that too. So lots of interesting stuff. So definitely check
Sounds
that
fun.
out. Um, I don't have a SoundCloud, so I think we'll just leave it at there. Cool, cool. Thanks again, Dev, and take care, everybody. And if you just don't mind staying on for one sec, Dev,
Yeah.
and we'll see y'all next week.